Imagine a force so powerful that billions of people dedicate their entire lives to it. They wake up for it. They sacrifice their time for it. They move across continents for it. They destroy relationships over it. Some even kill for it. And yet, this force doesn't exist in nature. You can't find it growing on trees. You can't discover it buried in the ground in its modern form. And if humanity suddenly stopped believing in it tomorrow, it would instantly lose almost all of its power. This force is not a king. It is not an empire. It is not even God. It's money. And in many ways, money has become the most powerful belief system ever created. But how did pieces of paper, metal coins, and digital numbers become more influential than religions that have guided humanity for thousands of years? To understand that, we need to go back to the beginning. Chapter 1. Before money. For most of human history, money didn't exist. If you lived 10,000 years ago, your survival depended on hunting, gathering, farming, and cooperation. People traded directly. If you had fish and needed wheat, you found someone with wheat who wanted fish. This system is called barter. Sounds simple, but it had a huge problem. What if the wheat farmer didn't want fish? What if he wanted milk? Now you needed to find someone who wanted fish and had milk. Then find another person willing to exchange milk for wheat. Trade became incredibly difficult. As societies grew larger, barter started breaking down. Humans needed something better, something everyone would accept, something everyone could trust. And that is where the story of money begins. Chapter 2. The first magic trick. Throughout history, different civilizations used different forms of money: shells, salt, livestock, silver, gold. But none of these things were valuable because of what they were. They were valuable because people agreed they were valuable. Think about that for a second. Gold is useful, but is it useful enough to justify the enormous wealth attached to it? Not really. Its power comes from human belief. A gold coin only works as money if other people agree it works as money. In other words, money was humanity's first global magic trick, a shared illusion, a story, a fiction. Not fiction in the sense that it's fake, fiction in the sense that its power comes from collective belief. The moment enough people believe in something, that thing becomes real in its consequences, and money became one of the most successful ideas ever invented. Chapter 3. The power of shared belief. Let's compare money and religion. Religions unite millions of people through shared beliefs. Money does exactly the same thing. A Christian may disagree with a Muslim. A Hindu may disagree with an atheist. A Buddhist may disagree with a Jew. But all of them can agree that a $100 bill has value. Money became something religions could never fully become, a universal language. You don't need to share culture. You don't need to share history. You don't need to share beliefs. You only need trust. This is why money became the foundation of global civilization. A businessman in New York can trade with a factory owner in China. A tourist from India can buy food in Europe. A company in Japan can hire workers in Brazil, not because they share religion, not because they share ethnicity, but because they share faith in money. Chapter 4. When money replaced status. For much of history, power came from birth. If your father was a king, you could become a king. If your family belonged to the nobility, you inherited influence. Religious leaders held enormous authority. Priests advised kings. Temples controlled wealth. Spiritual institutions shaped society. But gradually, something changed. Money started becoming a shortcut to power. You no longer needed noble blood. You needed wealth. The wealthy could buy land, buy armies, buy influence, buy political connections. And eventually, wealth became one of the most important measures of status. Today, many of the world's most admired people are not religious leaders. They are billionaires, entrepreneurs, investors, celebrities. People often know the net worth of famous business figures better than they know the teachings of their own faith. That tells us something profound about modern civilization. Chapter 5. The New Temples. Look around the modern world. Ancient civilizations built giant temples. Today, we build financial districts. Ancient pilgrims traveled to holy sites. Today, people travel to economic centers. Ancient societies worshipped divine symbols. Today, stock market numbers can influence the emotions of entire nations. Think about what happens when financial markets crash. Governments panic. News channels broadcast non-stop coverage. People lose sleep. Entire countries enter crisis mode. A movement in numbers on a screen can trigger reactions affecting hundreds of millions of people. Few things in modern life have that level of influence. Money isn't just a tool anymore. It has become the central organizing force of society. Chapter 6. The Cost of Worship. Here's where the story becomes uncomfortable. Many people claim that family is the most important thing in their lives, yet they spend most of their waking hours working for money. Many people claim health is their top priority, yet they sacrifice sleep, peace, and well-being in pursuit of income. Many people claim freedom matters most, yet they remain in jobs they hate because they need financial security. This doesn't mean money is evil. Money solves real problems. It provides food, shelter, healthcare, education. The issue is not money itself. The issue is what happens when money becomes the ultimate goal rather than a tool. Because when a tool becomes a master, priorities start changing, and many people spend their entire lives chasing numbers without ever asking why. Chapter 7. The Digital God. Now consider something even stranger. Most money today doesn't physically exist. Years ago, people carried coins and paper currency. Today, most wealth exists as digital records, numbers stored inside computers. Think about your bank account. Where is that money? You can't hold most of it. You can't touch it. You trust that it exists because a system says it exists. Modern civilization operates on invisible belief. People spend decades working for numbers that are largely digital. Entire corporations are valued at billions or trillions of dollars based partly on expectations and confidence. The economy itself runs on trust. The moment trust disappears, markets collapse, banks fail, currencies crash. The entire system depends on collective belief, just like all powerful belief systems throughout history. Chapter 8. Why money won. So why did money become so powerful? Because money solved a problem that religion couldn't. Religion answers questions about meaning. Money answers questions about cooperation. Religion tells people why they exist. Money helps people work together. Religion can unite millions. Money can unite billions. A merchant doesn't need to know your beliefs. He only needs confidence that your payment is valid. Money created networks of trust between complete strangers, and civilization expanded because of it. Cities grew larger, trade expanded, technology advanced, globalization became possible. Money became the operating system of modern civilization. Chapter 9. The Paradox. But there is a paradox at the center of all this. Money is incredibly powerful, yet it has no power on its own. If you were stranded alone on an island, a suitcase filled with cash would be almost useless. You would trade millions of dollars for clean water. You would trade a luxury watch for food. You would trade gold for survival. Money only matters because other humans agree it matters. Its power comes entirely from collective belief. This means the most powerful force in modern civilization is not paper, not coins, not bank accounts. It is trust. Trust is what gives money value. Trust is what keeps economies functioning. Trust is what allows strangers to cooperate on a global scale. Without trust, money becomes paper. Without trust, civilization itself starts breaking down. So, has money really become more powerful than God? That depends on how you define power. Can money create the universe? No. Can money answer life's deepest questions? No. Can money provide meaning, purpose, or spiritual fulfillment? Not necessarily. But if power means the ability to influence human behavior, to shape societies, to direct governments, to organize billions of people, then money may be one of the most powerful ideas humanity has ever created. Because every day, billions of people wake up and follow its commands, not because they are forced to, but because they believe. And perhaps that's the strangest part of all. The greatest force shaping modern civilization is not a physical object. It's a story so successful that almost every human being on Earth participates in it. A story built on trust, a story built on belief, a story called money. Gods ruled the ancient world, kings ruled empires. But in the modern age, the thing that rules almost everything is neither. It's an idea, and that idea is money.